How we doing? I'm gonna give you guys like 30 seconds to get on here and join me. If you're watching the replay, you can just go ahead and grab yourself a bev or chill for just a couple seconds, or you can fast forward and then we'll get started. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chelsea Evans and my business is called Apple Blossom Way. And I am located in Utah. And today, well, for the past week, I've been working on a really large project in a custom home. It was a large faux brick wall and pillars, and I used the ReDesign with Prima vintage brick stencil to do it, and it turned out super cool. So I've shared a couple posts in this group. If you haven't seen it, then you can go over to my page and check it out. It's just Apple Blossom Way on Facebook, and it turned out pretty sweet. So, and tonight, I had to go to plan B. I had a plan A. I was going to show you guys some raised stencils on an old purse and kind of update it, and I couldn't find the bag. So I have another little project that I've been planning to do, and so tonight we're going to do it. We are going to paint adventure tonight. So, hey Jane, how are you? So for those of you that do know me, I have 3 boys. And we are a pretty adventurous bunch, and so I've wanted to do an adventure wall in my house for a long time, and now that we're all home and have some time, we're gonna do it. So let me show you everything that I have out here tonight and what I'm gonna use for this project. If you have some of this stuff, feel free to join along, or I hope that you can be inspired by it and create and do something really cool for yourself or your own home, or as a gift for someone else. So what I have that I'm going to be using tonight they're actually these little they're metal boards, and they're just held together with 2 pieces of wood. They have jute string tied to the back, or you can hang them with the hanger. I got these at the tractor supply store for like $4 because they were on clearance. So I grabbed them because I thought I could paint them and make some kind of cool magnet boards out of them. You could do it with metal if you have metal, or you could do it with plastic, or you could even do it with like a thin piece of plywood and just put the wood pieces at the top to make your own, okay? So it doesn't have to be metal, it doesn't have to be a magnet board, all right? So this is what I'm gonna be using. You can use these ones that I found. If you can still find them, that'd be cool. They're white on the one side, and then they have the print on the other side. And I took some of the boards and I painted the printed side, I painted them just white. But I'm going to be using the stick and style stencils, and I use the chalk synthesis paint, which is super awesome, and it's great to use with the stick and style stencils, but because it's on metal, I've only painted them like an hour ago. So if I stick that sticker right onto my metal over top of the paint straight away, it's probably gonna pull it back. If you're doing it on top of wood, you're totally fine to go ahead and put the stencil over your dried chalk or mineral style paint, whatever you're using. But if you're using a metal, then you're going to want to seal it with a varnish or something and give it a day before you put that stick and style stencil over the top. But there's a good chance you might peel it off just because of that metal, and you need that proper cure time. So, hi Roz, hi Kat, hi Lisa. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to show you 2 different ideas. So the first one is with the decoupage, and I'm sorry that's a little bright. This is the abstract arrow paper from ReDesign with Prima. And it's kind of a hot pink, but it feels a little bit mountainous to me. A little boho kind of. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to create some mountains on one of them, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And then the other thing we're going to do is use our stick and style stencils. This one is modern arrows, and then this one is the irregular triangles. And I'm also going to use the chalk paste. Oh, that is so bright. I'm sorry, guys. The chalk paste from ReDesign with Prima. This is really cool and really easy to use. Comes in little nifty tubes. And then this is also one of the artist brushes from ReDesign with Prima. But what I love about them is, you see this end, they have all different sizes of the brushes on the one side, but the end has these cool little rubber things, and they're like tools, so you can create designs. See how it has like that serrated edge? You can create a design with, or you can use the flat part, which is what I'm going to use tonight, and I'm going to show you how I apply the chalk paste and the stick and style stencil, and then use my brush to do it. So let's start with the decoupage so it will dry. So I'm just going to go on the white side of this, and then I thought we just cut out mountains. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just something kind of rough. So we'll just cut straight across for our base. And I love the decoupage because it's kind of, it's thick, so it lays nice and flat. And because it's kind of a mesh material, it's very, very durable. And because it's a mesh material, the varnish that I'm going to use to adhere it with kind of, it allows for air to come through those bubbles or through the mesh material, and so you don't get bubbles or any like wrinkling in your decoupage, which is really cool. It doesn't stretch the way that paper does, which is kind of nice. It has its advantages. So I'm just going to kind of roughly cut a mountain. And these would probably be better mountains if I had fabric scissors. But when you live with people, things like fabric scissors tend to go missing. A lot. If you guys, if you've done decoupage before, give me a thumbs up or say yes. Tell me what your experience is with it. So there's a lot of different mediums you can use to apply your decoupage. I really like using the Wiesel varnish. It is acts like glue, and it doesn't have all the yucky stuff like that Mod Podge has in it. So I'm using a Klingon brush. This is an S30. It's a short-handled brush, really easy to use. And I'm just going to take my piece and kind of say, okay, that's about my base there. And I don't really worry, like if it goes over on the edge a little bit, that's okay, because I can, once it's totally dry, I can take like fine sandpaper and I can sand off the edge. Yeah, they're super easy to use, Roz. I totally agree. I was pleasantly surprised. I've done quite a bit of decoupage, and I like how easy they are to use. Now keep in mind, because they have that mesh, that it is going to seep through a little bit onto your fingers. So just be prepared to wash your hands, or you can wear gloves. It doesn't really bother me too much. And normally I would never ever apply my varnish right over the top of my decoupage. You normally don't do that. Like with a paper decoupage, you want to wait till it's totally dry, and then you're going to apply your top coat over the top. But because these are porous, they're a little bit different to work with. So we can add a mountain here. Oops, I kind of tore that a little bit. Okay. And then see, it's kind of taking shape. These are funky mountains. Like I said, if you want really nice crisp mountains, use fabric scissors. Now, once these are all decoupaged on and they're completely dry, you can add texture over the top. So if like I said, this is the Abstract Arrow decoupage paper, but you can use any decoupage that suits your fancy. And then you can wait when it's dry, and you can use some of the chalk paste like one of these. You could use the 3D paste with like a little spatula, and then you can give them snowy peaks, which would be kind of cool. So, and especially if it's magnetic and you did something like that, give them snowy peaks. Then you could add, like if your family likes to go skiing or hiking or something like that, then you can add magnets, and you could use some of the decoupage paper over top of like just the cheapo magnets that you get. Or if any of you still get a phone book or the little calendars that they send to the community, some of you guys get those, take off the little magnets and you can cut them up and put your decoupage paper over the top, and then you can use those magnets on your little board, okay? So once that's totally dry, you can add your snowy peaks, whatever you want, your magnets, and you have kind of a cool little boho mountainous scene. All right, so I'll set that one aside, let it dry, and then let's go on to our stencils and chalk paste. Okay, so these are kind of fun. I just pulled out a few different colors I thought we could use and 2 different designs. So we're gonna start with the Modern Arrows one. There's 2 different ways you could do it. This to me, let's do this. This to me looks like tire tracks. So if they were kind of muddy, it would be like going, for any of you, do you guys like to 4-wheel? Does anyone like to 4-wheel, or like go on side-by-sides, anything like that? Or jeeping, get your trucks muddy, mud on the tires. This is perfect tire tracks to me. And so for this one, since this is kind of gonna be our adventure wall, I'm just gonna take my stick and style stencil and just roughly estimate about how long I need it. And I'm gonna cut it off-roading, yes. That is a good, that's a much simpler way to put it, Roz. Funny. All right. Okay, so I'll just take, I'm gonna start at the bottom. And we will set our tire tracks down right at the base. And if we want them to be muddy tire tracks, they probably need a little bit of texture. Muddier the better, yes, I agree. I mean, if you're gonna go adventure, like, go adventure, right? Okay, so let's see, I've got a couple colors. I think Turkish, let's see, Turkish coffee. I almost said Turkish toffee. Turkish coffee is, in the chalk paste, is kind of a, it's kind of a really light mud. This would almost be like dried mud. So you could do it with this, and then if it's too light for you, if you feel like your mud is darker than that, then you could always glaze it, or you could use like a dark wax over the top of it. Anything like that would be really cool. Okay, so like I said, I got my handy little brush with the rubber spatula end, and I'm just gonna take it right out of the lid. And then you can do it nice and smooth if you want. But to me, they're muddy tire tracks. And so we are going to add some texture. You could layer this, so you could put down one color, like a darker color, and then you could add, and you can kind of like pull your paint up a little bit there to give some texture. Pull off your excess and keep using it. Let's grab some more. And this dries really quickly too, so that's nice. All right. And they don't need to be perfect. I don't know. I guess my theme would be art is imperfect, or imperfect art makes me happy. I don't know. I think, for me, I think art should be freeing and it should just kind of come from within. And so if it's too perfect, you're trying too hard. All right. So we will put this back on. And then I go ahead and peel it off while it's wet. You can wait till it's dry if you want, but I typically, I don't have a lot of patience, so I'm gonna peel it off now. I've used stick and style stencils on fabric too. That's what I was gonna show you tonight, you guys, and I'm kind of bummed that I could not find my bag. Maybe next time. I've got another live we're doing on the 27th, so if I can find it between now and then. Oh, now you know what to do with it, Tanya. She accidentally bought paste. You're gonna like it, it's really cool, okay? So let me come up here so I can kind of hold this and show you. But see that yummy little texture? Does that not look like muddy tire tracks? Oh yeah. And then, you know, like my stencil got messed up here. You can just wipe it off. It's not dry, it's gonna come right off. So now I can wait till it's totally dry. I can kind of dry brush it and really make that texture pop and get some cool, funky tire tracks. Or you can make it smooth, and then this is a great boho print too. So I found some old tin vases from the dollar store. You can find them all the time. They say flowers on them or whatever. Painted it black, and then I used, I have a color called iron oxide, and I used that, and I did this on it, really smooth texture, and it was a really cool boho vibe. I also thought it'd be super cool. So if you guys look in the background, I have a black wall. It's kind of boho, and I just dropped my camera on you. Anyway, I thought it would be cool to put it on the wall or on my skull to put, you can put this stencil on it and to put like a gold or like a copper design. That would be cool. Anyway, it's kind of like whatever suits your fancy. What's your thing? So there are my muddy tire tracks. And then I'll do another board with mountains, but I wanted to show you to personalize it and make it mine. This is my family. This is our adventure wall. I'm gonna throw like an E on there, or 3 because I have 3 boys, or number 5 because there's 5 in my family. And I'll add it in a different color, and I kind of put it right over the top, which would look really cool. Then you can add pictures if you want, or more magnets with the metal. So if you get a wood one, if you make your own and you're gonna use like thin sheets of wood, you could use, they have little tiny, what are they called? Clothesline hangers. They're just little tiny ones, and you could glue them on here, and then you can just clip on your pictures, which is another really easy way to do it. So we've got mountains, muddy tire tracks. I'll set this one aside, and then let's make some mountains out of our other stencil. So stick and style stencils, I see a lot of people say, how many times can you use it? Well, the correct answer is once, but if you're really careful and you peel them off and you're gonna do multiple boards, you can stick it down again and use it. I probably used one like 3 or 4 times, depending on the material I'm sticking it to. And as long as it has stick and it's all staying down, then I can reuse it. So that is your non-correct answer. If you have a big project and you want to know how much you're going to need, that is what I would say. Okay, our next stick and style I'm going to use is the irregular triangles. So I used this on a Levi jacket that I had, and I laid it down, and then I dabbed bleach with a sponge onto it, and it bleached the fabric, and it was so rad, like it was so cool. So you can totally do it on shirts. If you are home with your kids, I know a lot of you are, there's your art project. So you can get a 5-pack or maybe even a 10-pack of white t-shirts from Walmart for less than 10 bucks. And then grab your stick and style stencil, grab you some paint, and you can apply it, let them apply it with a sponge. So Wiseowl chalk synthesis paint is what we used to do our shirts with. And the kids just applied it on, rinsed them out, and set them in cold water, and it stays. It's really cool. Okay, so here's our design. And I'm just gonna kind of measure the width that I want. I actually thought of a better way to do this, but when you're going live, sometimes your better ways are just not possible. So the better way to do this would be, the easier way I should say, would be to get tape and tape off your mountain peaks, and then apply, and then just cover up the top of upper top, or do thick tape, and then apply your stencil there, and then just paint right over your stencil. When you peel all of it off, you're gonna have those mountain peaks with your Stencil Design making the mountains. But I left my tape at my job that I was telling you about, the brick design job that I did. And so I do not have my tape on me. So we're gonna do it this way. So I am just going to, and this may be a little more difficult than I planned, but it's fine. I'm just going to cut my stencil and create my mountains with my stencil, because that will be just fine too. And then I could actually save the other part of my stencil and do more projects. Okay, we're halfway there. This is the fun part where you get to laugh because I can't hold a stencil and cut it. You guys are like, I'm turning this off. I don't have time to watch this. She should have planned better. It's true, I should have. Well, at least I told you how to do it, so you guys make your lives easier. Okay, let's make one little mountain down here. And right, yeah. Cool. Okay. We have a mountain range. That's cool, right? This would be really, really cool on a dresser. Like super cool. And this would also be really stunning if you did black. I didn't have any of the black chalk paste to show you, so I'm just gonna use the colors, but black would be really, really stunning against the white. Or, let's see. Or if you had a black with white, that would be really pretty too. Okay, cool. Or you could not cut it and then you could just paint it where you wanted it to go. That would have been smart too. It's fine. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna use a couple different colors so you guys can see that you don't have to just use one color either. So this one is called Antique Sage, kind of a bluish green, sagey color. This one is called Buckram Binding. Oh, sorry, Buckram Binding. And it's kind of a fleshy pink color. It's really pretty. And then this one is Hubbard Squash. So I'll use these three tones. This is just, it's very similar to the Buckram Binding, but it's a little bit lighter, fleshy tone. And I will take pictures of this so you guys can see the colors better. Really, this is a little bright. Yeah, Antique Sage is really pretty. Okay, so I'm just gonna dip into my Antique Sage and we will start going. And I'm just gonna continue while it's wet. So I'm going to take enough that I don't have to re-dip into this second color, because I don't want to mix the colors in my pots. I just want to mix it on my project. And then I'll just let the colors mix a little bit. Like, I'm cool with that. You know, some parts will be kind of mixed and some parts will be more just straight up the color we're going for. And then our last one is the light color. We'll do it up top. Ooh, that is kind of annoying, isn't it? I'm sorry, guys. And this will give us our light peaks. And then, see, wouldn't this be cool with like one of the letters over the top of it? With the letter E, I mean your last name or a number for how many's in your family. You could even get little letters and do like, you know, write something like adventure. We are a Lake Powell family. We love to go to Lake Powell. And so I could put Lake Powell on one and do kind of, so Lake Powell has a lot of sandstone around it, so I could do kind of orangey, black and cream tones, and then put Right Lake Powell in another color, which would be really cool. All right, so let's peel it off. Oh, let's see. Okay. Isn't that cool looking? Kind of gives you like that ombre look, but gives you, you can see the different colors in it. Sweet, right? Okay, so take this idea and imagine the things that you can create on a dresser or on picture frames, old bottles, things you have laying around, like go grab them up and start creating. And this is an easy enough project that anyone can help you. You know, if you have kids, if you have neighbors who have kids and they're bored and they need something to do, then take them a stick and style stencil and tell them to paint some picture frames, you know, help each other out and just really get creative and do something really cool with what you have laying around. You don't have to go buy anything, you don't even have to go out. People can ship it to you and you can get creative. So anyways, so we've got our mountains. We have our muddy tire tracks and our, I'm gonna call them Dr. Seuss, our Dr. Seuss decoupage mountains. These aren't dry yet, so this is gonna take a little while to dry, but I can add, I'll show you real quick before I let you go, because I just want to give you this one last idea. I can use that same color, the Hubbard squash, and I would typically do this after it's completely dry, but I can add my little snow. See, and now my Dr. Seuss mountains are actually kind of cute. So we got our little snowy mountain peaks. Kind of fun. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned something and you'll get your creative on. And if you don't already, like I said, go check me out on Apple Blossom Way on Facebook. And I have lots of classes that I teach. They're all online, so if you want to learn something new, go check it out. Have a good night. See you guys. Bye.